This is perhaps the biggest battle yet in the war between the Election Commission and Law Ministry. A government note first accessed by NDTV last evening effectively showed that the government is considering taking over a key part of the poll panel's power, that is, enforcing the model code of conduct during elections. This note is part of the second report of the group of ministers on corruption, and in a chapter referring to state funding for elections, it says that the GM headed by Pranab Mukherjee agreed with the request of the law minister to flag the view that the code of conduct is one of the biggest exercises to stall development projects. It also added that the code of conduct should be made statutory, which this effectively means that the judiciary would decide its violations and not the Election Commission. So while the government struggles to damage control, once again, this seems to have pitted them against the Election Commission, the opposition and its own allies.
करप्शन की कमेटी है, उसमें चुनाव आयोग के क्या लेना देना है? जब चुनाव आयोग के संबंध में सारी पार्टियां आपस में बैठकर ही तो निर्णय कर सकती हैं, तो करप्शन की बात में कहां पर चुनाव आयोग आ जाता है?
कल जो पेपर लीक हुए हैं, जो हमारे पास
लीक हुए हैं, चोरी हुए हैं, अरे लीक हुए हैं या
आयोग का एजेंडा,
तो मैं कौन हूँ? मैं जब कह रहा हूँ कि नहीं है तो आप उसको नहीं मानेंगे?
उस संस्था को कमजोर करने की बात सोचना, ये स्वयं में मैं समझता हूँ आज तक कभी किसी ने सोचा ही नहीं। ये पहली सरकार है जिसने इस दिशा में सोचा है।
As far as Election Commission is concerned, it is a statutory body. It is autonomous, and therefore no interference should be done which will curtail their work. And I think everybody in this nation will oppose
questionable attempt by the government to dilute the powers of the Election Commission through the back door.
What control are they talking about? There is autonomy. Constitution has given us total autonomy so that we can function outside the government. There are Supreme Court judgments that the Election Commission is outside the executive. Now what does it mean then? If the law ministry tries to convert us into a department of the law ministry, I think those days are gone.
Those days are gone, or are they? The latest standoff there between the Election Commission, a constitutional body, and the government. Well, joining me now for the government's point of view is Mr. V. Narayanasamy, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, also a member of that group of ministers looking at ways to fight corruption. I'm also joined by Prakash Javadekar of the BJP and Harish Salve, former Solicitor General of India. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Mr. Narayanasamy, we've seen denial after denial by the government, but again, to hold up that note, the confidential note, which was actually circulated in September. Now, in this note, we see a chapter which refers to state funding of elections. And if I can quote, it says that the GOM has requested the Ministry of Law and Justice to bring out specific proposals of consideration and decision. The GOM also expressed the view that the code of conduct is one of the biggest excuses to stall development projects. What exactly is that reference to, and why would the government see the code of conduct as stalling development?
No, actually in November 2011, the meeting was held. In that meeting, at the time of discussion, several issues came. In that, this issue also came. In fact, the mandate that has been given for the committee, that is under the terms of reference, is on state funding of elections.
Yes.
That was the main issue. Beyond that, there is nothing. The model code of conduct was not at all, is one of the terms of reference, which has become a contentious issue. Actually, when the issue of the state funding of election, we wanted the law ministry to give its view. The Election Commission also has been telling us, suggesting that there should be a state funding of election. Therefore, that issue was one of the terms of reference, not the model code of conduct.
No, but Prakash Javadekar, come in here. The question that would arise would be, how does the model code of conduct come as the main issue under state funding of elections? Does that divert from the issue? Does that actually look at making the rather than focusing on electoral reform, does that focus on making the Election Commission weaker?
See, what the country wants is a strong Election Commission and a real electoral reforms to take place. But instead, the mindset of the government is now very clear, and they are now exposed to their designs, mischievous design, to take away effectively the real powers, executive orders and decision on model code of conduct. Through a legal way, they wanted to take out this. So they want to make They want to denigrate every constitutionally statutory bodies, be it CVC, be it CAG, or be it Election Commission. So this is the mindset of the Congress. This is typical emergency mindset.
Harish Salve, come in here as the neutral voice. Typical emergency mindset. In a way, it sounds good. Make this statutory, make this a part of law. Let it not be just a moral code of conduct. Yet the election commissioner has reacted very strongly, saying the real motive of this is completely something else. What's your view on that?
My view is these appear to be, I don't know, the government has denied it. I'm happy that they've denied it, because even if somebody had broached the subject, it would be more in fantasy than in reality for this reason. A free and fair election and therefore a robust election commissioner is part of the basic structure of our constitution. Any dilution of the powers of the election commissioner would require a constitutional amendment, and I dare say the court will strike it down for the asking. So I'm not saying that this government planned to do anything, but I don't think there need be any fears on this score. Even if any government toys with the idea of tinkering with the powers of the Election Commission, well, it'll require nothing short of a revolution and throwing over our constitution. So
though, of course, the government says the government's claim is that this makes it stronger. Mr. Narayanasamy, if I can quote from that same note, where you say that it says that the legislative department may also look into the aspects where executive instructions of the Election Commission of India were required to be given statutory shape. Now, within the government sources say, what's wrong with this? We want to make it stronger.
So, Sonia, yes, Sonia, one important thing you must understand.
Yes.
If the model code of conduct is made statutory, without diluting the powers of the Election Commission to enforce that model code of conduct, it will be good.
Okay.
What is of concern is make it statutory and leave it only to the courts. Now, if anybody ever says that the Election Commission will not have the power to insist adherence to the code of conduct, and if it is made statutory, for sure I insist on that, then that kind of dilution of power would be unconstitutional.
The NDTV news app had redefined the entire genre. Now, another market beater. It's already hit #1.
NDTV Profit, India's #1 finance app. Download free at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Live stream of NDTV Profit, market news, and your easy-to-manage portfolio. Download now, ndtvprofit.com/apps.